All right, and welcome back, guys. So we're doing another video in our guide of kind of showing things, how they are and how good they are when they're tier 5, so you know what to use your crystals on. We've already done one for Jug, we've done one for Brain Rot. I think we're gonna try another perk in this one, so let's go and figure out what perk we're gonna do. So honestly, one of the perks that I've been most curious about that I think could honestly be extremely strong if what it kind of reads out acts like the way I think it does, and that is the tier 5 DEADSHOT daiquiri. So here we go. Tier 1, deal 100% extra critical damage if the enemy is at full health. Honestly, one of the things that make DEADSHOT so good is this first perk here. Increase damage against armor pieces by 50%. Only really helpful against like armored zombies, but still something nice to have. Reduced hip fire spread. So DEADSHOT was already pretty good. Obviously, the best part about it was that deal 100% extra critical damage if the enemy's at full health. That right there, really strong, but it only does the extra damage when the zombie's sitting at 100%, which made obviously going for Dark Aether and all that really good. But here's exactly what happens after that. Increased critical bonus damage to 10%. So now when you're doing damage to zombies, you're going to be doing an extra 10% critical damage, which is really strong. Essentially, you're now doing an extra 10% of damage if you're hitting headshots or whatever the zombie is weak with criticals. For most zombies, it's headshots, so that is what we're going to be aiming for the most part. And then here's exactly what tier 5 does. Each consecutive hit on the same enemy deals 2% more damage to a maximum of 20% damage. To me, this sounds like this is going to be really good for high rounds because now you're going to be able to do quite a bit more damage to zombies. But the first thing I think of when I see this is bosses that take a lot of shots to kill are going to be really easy to kill now, because once you've done 10 shots to that enemy, you are now doing 130% critical damage to them, which I know an extra 30%, you're like, it doesn't seem like too much, but that adds up relatively quickly, and you've already put 5 shots into them. So I think this maxed out is going to be amazing for killing bosses. But let's go ahead, buy these upgrades. There we go. If we look at it, it's now orange at the bottom here. Each consecutive hit on the same enemy deals 2% more damage for a max of 20% damage. Let's go test this out and see if it's as good against killing bosses as I'm making it out to be. All right, now we're ahead and we're actually in game now. This part was actually recorded quite a few days after that original segment there, mainly because I recorded that whole video right there in that segment that you saw. But the perk worked a little bit differently than what I thought it did, so I got a lot of mixed results and I was kind of confused on what was happening. So I've done quite a bit of testing here, and now I'm pretty sure I know exactly how all of DEADSHOT works. The wording of it confused me a little bit, but now I think we can accurately kind of describe to you what it does and if it is worth getting. But while we're here currently getting set up, if you want to join us on our goal to hitting 40K, I would greatly appreciate that. So if you want to go ahead and sub, tons of testing stuff like this in zombies, tons of completionist content in COD, and all that good stuff will be found here. So if that's the kind of stuff you want to see, definitely make sure you go ahead and subscribe. But with that, I'm going to go ahead, get kind of set up, get the perks we need to be able to test this out, and I'll be back with you guys in just a moment. All right, so now we've got DEADSHOT, and we've got a few zombies in front of us. I'm going to show you exactly what this does. When I originally read the description for DEADSHOT, I assumed it had to be headshots, but as you can see, that's not the case here. If you look, we do 51, 52, 53, 54, and the bullet damage continuously goes up. So that tier 5 effect does not have to be critical kills for it to get that extra 20% damage. That is huge. That means this is going to help you even if you're not hitting critical shots. And this is a part of the issue I had so much issues testing this, is I assumed they had to be critical shots, but no. And then another thing that kind of confused me when I read it out, it said it needed to be continuous shots. Now, what exactly is a continuous shot? So let's go ahead, let's leave a couple zombies here, and let's test out exactly what they mean by continuous shots. All right, so now we've got 2 separate zombies here. So if we shoot this guy, you can see we do 51 to him, 51 to him, and then it goes back to 51. So what it means by continuous, it has to be the same zombie that you shot. So if I shoot this guy, and as you can see, we're doing 53, 53. So you saw 53 on that guy, 51, 52, 53 on him. Shoot that guy, and now let's go back to him. You can see it reset. Now, besides shooting the same zombie in a row, I wanted to know how long the effect takes place for. So if we shoot it 51, 52, let's wait a few seconds and see if, like, let's say we were training around zombies, we were shooting some sort of boss and came back to it, how much time we'd have to wait for it to kind of reset this multiplier. So I want to give it a decent, reasonable amount of time. So this is probably about the longest you'd wait before shooting a boss again. As you can see, it has kept that extra damage multiplier. All right, so now that we've got all those factors in mind, here's exactly what DEADSHOT does. So essentially, if you continuously shoot the same zombie without hitting any other zombies in a row, even if it's not a critical, you'll be doing an extra 2% damage for a total of 20% after 10 hits. That's massive. Originally, when I read this, I assumed that it had to be headshots, and that's all that counted. So if you weren't hitting criticals, you weren't going to get any sort of effect from this, but that's not the case at all. As you saw there, we were shooting a guy in the foot and it continuously went up. And with knowing how this works, this in my opinion is going to be huge for taking out any sort of boss. So even if you're not able to continuously hit critical shots on the boss, you're still going to get a massive extra bonus damage from using DEADSHOT tier 5. So if you can hit 10 shots in a row on an enemy, you're going to be doing an extra 20% per shot regardless if it's a critical or not. And on top of that, you're going to be getting an extra 10% on those critical hits all around from DEADSHOT being tier 5. So it's gonna help a little bit with normal zombies, but if you're like training a horde of zombies, more than likely you're not going to be able to hit consecutive shots on, you know, one single zombie while in a horde. So DEADSHOT's not going to really help you when it comes to hordes of zombies. But when it comes to bosses, if you just focus on the boss and you get that extra 20% damage, that's going to be huge. So especially for Outbreak, when there's tons and tons of bosses, if I really wanted to focus on just killing this Mangler, I would just need to keep shooting the Mangler till I kill it before I started shooting anything else. That way I could get that extra 130% damage on the Mangler, being able to take it down really, really quickly. And I wanted to just kind of see if this works with everything too. As you can see here, the bullet damage does go up with the death machine. And if it works like this with the death machine, I'm pretty sure anything in the game that deals damage is going to have this DEADSHOT effect on it. So that is also really huge. But besides just helping an Outbreak, this is going to be massive game changing when it comes to, you know, like high rounding and stuff. Because if you guys have ever high rounded on like FIREBASE-Z, you guys know in the camping spot, one of the things that are more likely to kill you is going to be like a mimic or some sort of Mangler coming out. But if you're using a wonder weapon and you can now do an extra 2% damage per shot for a total of 20% while you're in a camping strat, you're going to be able to take down that Mangler, that mimic, whatever's coming at you a lot quicker than what you would have been able to previously. Now, another thing about this is if you guys played zombies, you know the M16 and the shotguns are very strong. It's very easy to hit consecutive shots with the M16. So a lot of the times when you put a burst into a zombie, you're going to be hitting all 3 shots into one zombie. So the first shot's going to do 100, then 102, then 104, and so on like that. So it's really good for the burst weapons. And then at the end of this video, I want to test out the shotguns. We're going to go into a different map. We're going to pull out the shotguns and we're going to see how well the shotguns fare up with this. Because if the shotguns work like I think they do, if each pellet does additional damage, shooting one zombie, you'll be able to max out the damage per pellet right off the bat, which would be really freaking strong. I haven't done a lot of testing with that, but I definitely want to check that out and see how these work with shotguns towards the end of this video. But with all that being said, now that we kind of know how it works, what it does, let's test it out in Outbreak where there's tons of bosses, get some packed weapons, and see just how quickly we are able to drop boss zombies using this perk. All right, so I've gone ahead and found a Mangler. Let's go ahead and try to kill this. Now remember, if you want to get a massive effect from this, you can only shoot the Mangler. Once you start shooting the Mangler and get max damage on it, if you start shooting other zombies, you will lose that 20% damage. So if we just focus on killing him, obviously we broke his armor and he died. That definitely seemed to make a pretty big effect. We're on wave 3 on Outbreak, and honestly, I feel like I was killing that quicker than what I would have been without that by a decent amount. But it's just wave 3. Let's find some bigger, badder zombies, and I'll be back with you guys then. I was able to go ahead and get a shotgun in this game, so we're actually going to go ahead and test out exactly if this works based on pellet spread. So here we've got a single zombie here. Let's try to look at the damage numbers from the pellets. It's so hard to tell, but it looks like each individual shot does go up. I'm trying to look at the numbers closely. Yeah, it looks like it works like that. So that's going to make shotguns so freaking strong, it's not even funny. So usually with a normal weapon, you'd have to hit consecutive shots, but each pellet seems to be counting for a shot. So it's just going to go up and up for each time you shoot a pellet. That's going to make shotguns insane. You're going to get that extra 20% damage on shotguns extremely freaking quickly. So by the time you max pack a shotgun and you get it all the way upgraded, shotguns are going to be so strong in zombies now, which they already were. So yeah, I feel like this is definitely going to make shotguns already way stronger than what they already were in zombies. And shotguns have always been kind of the go-to in zombies, at least since Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4, Black Ops 3, and this game, some of the best non-wonder weapons have been shotguns, and I think DEADSHOT's just going to farther that gap. Shotguns are going to continue to be just a lot better than most other weapons, especially now that you're going to get that max damage so much quicker. Another thing to note is I tested this out against Orda, the boss that you get at round 30 on FIREBASE-Z. Tested out against Orda, doesn't seem to have any effect whatsoever on Orda. I tried it with the Ray K, tried it with multiple weapons. Never at any point was I able to get any sort of extra 20% damage against Orda. It was the same through and through from the beginning to the end. Regardless of how many consecutive shots I put into Orda, no damage was ever changed. So I don't know if it just doesn't work against Orda, if they capped it against bosses like that, or whatnot, but yeah. So Orda got 0 effect from DEADSHOT buff. So I wonder if there's any other bosses. That's why I kind of want to test out the Panzer and, you know, the named bosses in Outbreak, the ones that have specific names here, if those guys have any sort of difference. I've tested against the Megatons. So unlike Turned, where Turned cannot turn elite zombies, so Megatons can't get turned, this does affect elites. The extra damage does go towards them. The only real question I have left is if the big named zombies get any sort of effect from it, because Orda doesn't, and those guys might not either. So we're gonna go until I get one of those named guys, and we're gonna see exactly what effect it has on them. All right, so we've got one of the Panzers here. Let's see if the Panzers get affected by this. So 270, oh crap, can't really tell. It's a little bit harder to tell. Oh, so there we go. As you can see, we're now doing a max of 100 there, but in critical spots doing 302. So it definitely does affect the Panzers. That's awesome. Now let's see how well it's gonna work with the shotgun here. Dude, every single pellet doing an extra little damage there. That's well, my game ended up crashing, but from what it looks like in my testing, DEADSHOT affects every single thing except for Orda. I don't know if they purposely did that or if for some reason Orda is just not affected since technically it's like a boss battle type zombie, but even still, great perk, very, very good. Way better in my opinion than Jug. This is something that's gonna help you out so much. It's the one key factor is it has to be consecutive shots on the same zombie. So if you shoot one zombie, and then you start shooting another zombie and then go back to that original one, it's not going to carry that damage. So where this is going to be the strongest is whenever you have a boss zombie, just continuously focus your fire on that boss zombie for as long as you can. So your elite zombies, your panzers, your margwas, your mimics, margwas, maybe in the future, but a manglers, anything like that, it is going to be really good for destroying them. So you have your 100 base damage. Then after 10 shots, you have 120% damage, and then you have the tier 4 ability, which is an extra 10% critical. So you're getting like 140% damage if you're getting criticals and you've hit 10 shots in a row. And for boss zombies, that's going to take them down so quickly, because especially with a full auto weapon, you're just going to be spamming it, and it seems to affect each individual pellets for shotguns. So shotguns were already good, going to be even better with this. Definitely would recommend getting this one as one of the earlier things you invest in for getting tier 5. Have tons of plans to test so many more stuff. Not quite sure what we want to do next. Maybe we'll do Deadwire next. A lot of people have been telling me Deadwire is very, very good. Want to go ahead, give that a shot. Haven't really exactly made up my mind what we're going to test. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.